Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Nate Almighty, and I'm back with another Raising Kanan / OG Power Theory video. The topic of today's video is the 5 times Kanan was a tender and a hater in Raising Kanan and Original Power, okay? When people really pay attention to it, even though we love the character of Kanan, when you really pay attention to it, especially from it being exposed in the Raising Kanan timeline, right? Kanan was always a tender. He's a tender eggplant. He was a hater many times, man. A hater. And all of these times when he was a hater, it was uncalled for, man. Right? He's a hater. Like if you grew up with Kanan in the hood, you'd be like, yo, man, Kanan is a hating ass nigga. You feel me? So I'm going to break it down all 5 times, man. This is including Raising Kanan and OG Power, man. I'm telling y'all in advance, luckily, he grew out of it for the most part by the time he grew up and he was an OG Power, but he still was definitively a hater in OG Power. I'm going to break it down for you. This video is going to be amazing. And it's going to be hilarious. So go ahead, like, share, comment, subscribe, because this video is a banger. Without further ado, let's get to it. All right, now let's talk about number 1. Kanan really killed Buck 20 because he wanted Davina. Hater, and a tender. Let's remember, right, the very first episode of Raising Kanan, right? You got Kanan when he was still short, chubby, right? Before he started developing his muscles later on in the season, right? Hater. He was in love with Davina. Hardly knew the girl, right? Hardly knew the girl. It's not like he liked her as a person. This is strictly lust. A 15-year-old kid wanting to get laid. He looking at Davina with Buck 20, the envy in his eyes. If talking about if looks could kill, when he was looking at Buck 20 with his arm around Davina, if his looks could kill, right, he would have Cyclops, laser-eyed Buck 20 to death right there in the school, in the cafeteria, man. Then when you move on, right, and he's minding his mother's business about what's going on with Buck 20, about what's going on with her and Unique and the turf war that they could have had in the street, he starts the biggest drama of his life that sets his life on a negative trajectory, right? It defines his whole life by him pretending he was doing it for Rock. When he got with D-Wiz and he shot at Buck 20 and his crew. This was about Davina. He was saying to himself, you got my girl, and you on my mother block? Nah, I can't let that slide. If Buck 20 was on his mother's block and he didn't have Buck 20, Kanan would have just went to Rock and said, yo, Rock, I see Buck 20 and them on your turf. That's exactly what would have happened. Buck 20 would still be alive and Rock would have said, yo, chill, man. That's an agreement that I made with Unique. Buck 20 is dead because Kanan is a tender and a hater, okay? He was mad Buck 20 was flyer than him, more popular than him, and because he had the girl that he wanted. And he was doing the most. Popping up at the crib, trying to play stepdad to the little sister. How you trying to play stepdad to Davina, little sister? Trying to take care of the house with groceries just so he could get laid for real, and that's it. Hashtag Kanan always been a simp. Running his mouth, saying the wrong things, getting his mother's stash spot robbed over this girl. He was out of control. Next, number 2. Why Kanan was a hater. He hated on Famous' music career, knowing he had talent, man. Anybody with eyes could tell that Famous had talent, man. He hated on Famous during Famous' first scene in the cafeteria that I mentioned previously, man. Said his poem was trash, but that was still his nigga, right? But yet, Famous won a competition for the same poem. So how was it trash? How is it trash if he beat out at least 20 other kids, right? Hashtag justice for Famous. Hashtag Kanan always been a hater, yo. He further hated on Famous by not encouraging him to pursue his rap career. Kanan was so much of a narcissist, so self-absorbed, so much of a hater, that his haterism didn't even allow him to realize the potential that Famous had. Famous could have got you out the hood. Famous could have got you out the hood, man. And I'm saying he refused to acknowledge Famous' greatness after witnessing Famous rock a crowd once or twice, man. He wanted to bring Famous down to his hood street level, right? When Famous has so much potential, man. Famous got violated by the gay gangster, Ronnie Mathis, in the hallway and in the house in front of Kanan. Using Ronnie Mathis, right, to intimidate Famous, man. Your brother, who you allegedly shot Raquel over, and by the way, Raquel's not dead, right? But he was a hater. Hashtag hater, right? Famous ruined his life dealing with Kanan, man. Famous is only dead because of his loyalty to Kanan and his lack of confidence to stand on his own. Number 3, next we got Aisha. Kanan grew up with Jukebox. Kanan knew damn well that Jukebox was crushing on Aisha, whether Jukebox wanted to admit it or not, whether Aisha was a bop or not by entertaining them. Then he goes and disrespects Jukebox crush, right? And then goes and gets with her arch enemy Crystal. And even though it was not shown on screen, you know Jukebox told Kanan what she did to him. You know she did. You know she did, man. 90s Kanan was a fuck nigga. He was a fuck nigga, man. At least early 90s, man. We'll see how he goes after the Breeze situation and all that. But something tells me he's still gonna be a bitch ass nigga, man. Right? And even though Jukebox didn't like Kanan's movements, she kept it all the way player the whole time, man. All the way player, man. Definitively, Jukebox was always smarter than Kanan. Always smarter than Kanan. Always kept it more player than Kanan. And we seen that, first of all, now I got an extra way Kanan was a hater now, right? I only had 5. Now I got 5 side B on number 6, right? I'm going to say before I even get to number 4. He hated on Jukebox with Jukebox Girl in Washington, right? Hater, 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 hater. Why you always going after Jukebox Girl? You don't have no self-control? Where's your loyalty? Of course he shot Jukebox over Tariq. Of course he did. Of course he did, man. Of course he did. Number 4, he goes behind his mother's back to try to work with Stefano. Come on now, man. You tried to usurp your mother's position and she helping you eat? She helping you eat? Stefano a real one for turning them down. And I will admit, Kanan grew up and did less hating stuff. I can't call him a hater for anything that he did to Ghost, because Ghost put him in jail. Unless in Power Origins, we find out Kanan was being a hater even more, in which there will be a part 2 to this video. But in the meantime, anything he did to Ghost is purely get back and revenge, which constitutes hate, but not necessarily being a hater. But do you know who Kanan hated on? His own son. Kanan wanted Tasha, aka Miss Green if you're nasty, so bad. He was very upfront about it. When he found out Sean was hitting it, he basically threw salt in the game to keep Sean away from Tasha. Super hater and a tenderoni. I believe the moment Kanan shot Sean could have been prevented, or at least prolonged, until Kanan asked him the question, "Where you going, son?" Once Sean said he was getting Tasha and taking him away from her, he put Sean down for good, man. He was such a hater and a tender that he killed his own son over a bitch. I rest my case, man. I rest my case, man. In the state of the Power Universe versus Kanan, Kanan is guilty for being a hater in the first degree, man. Hater in the first degree, tender in the first degree, man. Kanan is guilty. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.
Can't teach that shit, nigga. Come on. That's God gift. That's touch my ink. That's on the dome, nigga.